Hey YouTube, welcome back in. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. We've got some more news. And I will say before we get into this that I did think it was a little quieter than I expected it to be. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, September 14th is the start of free agency. Normally, if you're talking about like traditional sports in the NBA and the NFL, that first day of free agency is absolutely wild. And we didn't really get much news today. We'll go through the couple things that we did learn, but just wanted to go ahead and start off with that. So as we go ahead and bring up a couple graphics here, this is the first thing that kind of let us know maybe something was going on here. So this was tweeted by Chicago, and it's kind of this eerie Batman scene, right? We've got the spotlight going up with the Chicago Huntsmen logo. And then obviously, as it shows it up in the air, this is what everybody expected out of Dashy, right? So obviously, Batman, Bruce Wayne, Dashy, that's what everybody calls Dashy. Even though his name is Brandon, everybody says Bruce like that. So this is what that was referring to as kind of the first heads up that we got out of the day. Then not too far after that, Chicago said, "Welcome back, Dashy, time to hunt." So we've been talking about this for a while, but it is finally official. If you go through, Dashy went ahead and said, "I'm home." What I really liked out of this is Envoy replied with a gif of Batman and Robin, and Brandon said, "Let's get it, duo." So this is interesting, right? Obviously, Chicago has one duo in T2P and Scump and Formal. This is potentially another one. We'll see what ends up happening here, but Dashy is going to have to play that flex role, so maybe those two can feed off of each other. If you go throughout the rest of the replies here, obviously you got Hitch in here, you've got TJ, you scroll through, I mean, Censor, and there's a ton of people in here. So I am happy for Dashy. I do think it's the place that he wanted to be, even going back to the start of MW. I think he wanted to find a way to stay in Chicago. It didn't work out that way, but he's back, so I think he's going to be happy. We'll see if he grinds as hard as he needs to. That's kind of the thing with him, right? Is he going to put in the time that he needs to put in? That's what we'll see, because as I go back, and I've been reverting back to this graphic quite a few times in the last week or so, but this is basically the latest intel that we have. If I'm looking at these rosters overall, I think that there are a couple that are just outstanding. So I think that right now, this is just based off of how Modern Warfare went, and we're not quite sure of what's going on with Black Ops Cold War yet. We don't know the teams. We don't know how the game's going to work. We don't know, all the strategy and rotations and all that about it. But just off of first glance, I don't think anybody would disagree that Atlanta is automatically one of the best teams. Dallas is up there. We'll see what happens with Crim6. I think in 4v4, you need a really strong anchoring AR. I'm not quite sure that they have it there with Crim. Obviously, he's good, but will he be able to win rotations against the likes of Formal and Arcides and Octane and Methods and Clay? So you can kind of see where I'm going there, but I do think those two teams are up there. I think New York, if they're able to land Pharaoh, I think that's obviously another top tier team. And then from there, we just have some uncertainties, right? I do think Chicago is probably in that next tier. So we could probably put them in that second tier, at least as of right now. I think that they're good at the SMG positions. They're good at AR. We just need to see if Dashy can slay at that flex position with the likes of Celium and Pharaoh and some of the other people, Priesta, although roles might be a little bit mixed up if he ends up going to Minnesota like what is rumored. So I don't think that this roster from Chicago is bottom 6, right? Obviously, I think that this roster is pretty good. It's just, we'll see if they can compete with the likes of Atlanta and Dallas, and we'll see what happens with New York. Even LA Optic, right? We don't know who they're going to get, if it's gunless or that's all that's been up in the air over the last week or so. But there are definitely, for whatever reason, I always look past Toronto, which is what most people did towards the end of last year. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that this puts them definitely in the top 5, top 6, top 4 of the league. I'm just excited for the game to come out. I want to see if these guys can compete. But on another front here, we got this clip out of Scump. So when it comes to this one, he is talking about karma here. I'll go ahead and I'll play it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards.
Damon, would you say that your COD knowledge is on par with Troy Sender Michaels?
What do you mean?
I'm just asking a question.
What does that mean?
Do you think that you're smarter than Troy?
Ooh.
Where you
What do
going?
you want me to say to that?
So yeah, there you have it. Interesting little conversation there between Karma and Scum. I think it would be really dope if Karma ended up going back, being some sort of coach, some sort of analyst, if he could work his way back into the content creation. You know how they do those trivias and stuff like that. I just think that we need to see more of Karma around the scene. I love that he's streaming. I love that he's doing that part of his content creation, but I would love to see him on pre-shows going into next year, on their trivia videos. So we'll see if he ends up coming back in a coach role, an analyst role, or just as a content creator. But as Hex referred to earlier, obviously there's only one home for him. Formal talked about it also, asking him, and just it was a little bit of a trolling manner, but he said, you know, Karma, why'd you have to retire? I hope that you can come back. I really wanted to team with you again. Who knows if they'll be able to actually team again, but we'll see what ends up happening there. I just think it would be a cool story for Karma to come back where he had the most success, where he spent a long time of his career being a part of that Optic dynasty. We'll see what happens. Last thing that I want to go through for you guys today is this was another big piece of rumor today. Didn't quite come to fruition, but we got this tweet from the Minnesota ROKKR that said, you're going to want to turn on notifications today. Trust us. And they had just had a little video of here, them going over and turning on that bell. Oh, look, there's me on Twitter and the reply from Minnesota. But yeah, go follow me on Twitter if you're not already, Icon Nation YT. But yeah, you can see, I don't know, I was expecting them to release their roster today and it just didn't happen. I don't know if they had some contract issues or some things to get settled. They did go on to say big news tomorrow. And then Brett Diamond, also, who is their COO, went on to say, this legit was not intended as bait. Had planned some big news today, but had a few more T's to cross and I's to dot. Pumped for what comes next. So I think that they are probably on the verge of making things happen, but you know how this stuff goes, right? Maybe somebody got a hold of another player, or maybe they just didn't have quite the contract stuff situated out. Who knows? There's a million things that could happen, but I'm sure that they're pretty much a done deal. I'm excited to see what they have to come from there. So with that, guys, if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. What do you think? Dashy is back. What do you think about the potential of Karma? What about the news for Minnesota? Put in the comments down below. I always read through everything. I love the interactions. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say on these stories. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like. We will see you in tomorrow's upload.